For that, Ben, that was brilliant. Yeah, so it takes us on well to our next guest, because he does a lot for charity, but I'll let him tell you all about that. This is Miles from Akka. Take it away, Miles.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ben. Good morning, Amanda. So we are outside, mainly because I thought obviously everyone's had their noses up against your computers all night long. Good crew going hard. So I actually can't hear you. I can see you now, Amanda, on the monitor. So I'm just going to break into an old school, been in the industry. Good morning. Amanda, can you put your thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, there we all are. Yeah, sorry, obviously there's a technical issues because we have microphones everywhere. Obviously, when you're asking questions later on, our microphones will pick that up. So good morning to everyone. My name is Miles. I think let's get the dignitaries out of the way. We're all here for Save the Children, which obviously is a fantastic cause. Akka, as frankly you kindly pointed out, was created, although Akka has been in the background for some 25 years. We've been producing. We are global luxury denim manufacturers. I know a couple of the Akka crews all around the world are watching us. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Ruan. Good morning, Calvin. And good morning, Herman. Hope you're all well. So although Akka in itself has been around some 25 years, we didn't incorporate it into a standalone brand until 2015. This was a personal quest for me after the Rana Plaza tragedy, and of course that really struck home for me, because being denim manufacturers, we manufactured from all your favorite Japanese denim brands. We were actually the only manufacturer of Evisu from 1997 to 2008. That excludes all Evis, Premium, Yamani, Dow Luck, mainline pieces. But I do have a couple of pieces with me, which we'll talk you through. So I took great umbrage to this disaster. We have also manufactured for a couple of Savile Row houses, all the way down to, or should I say all the way up, depending on their marketing budget. I'm sure they'd like me to say, all the way up to ASOS, Topshop. So we have an intimate understanding of the industry. We know the margins, we know the textile costs, we know the marketing budgets, we know freights, we know logistics. The team behind Akka have actually produced between 25 and 28 million premium Japanese jeans since the early 90s. So we have a very intimate understanding of the industry as a whole, from consumerisms, all the way down to the marketing, the emotional ploys that we get sucked into, and of course, totally separate to that, with all our fellow denim heads, and congratulations to all the amazing brands. Watched Full Count. Ben Biapana, I don't know if you're watching at this time of morning, but we loved you last night. Samurai, of course. So we actually know you, although you probably haven't put two and two together, who's behind the Akka brand and who've been making some of the premium jeans for the last 25 to 27 years. So Akka, I took it as, I was deeply upset by it. So I came up with, it's now I'm the original founder, but there are two co-founders, the Nick, who is watching, our CEO, amazing. Nick is a titan in global buying. I consider him to be one of the best buyers in the world, from how it's direct to ships. Nick's just left a 36-month tenure developing, launching, creating 18montrose.com. Myself was involved in the very early days, the birth of Oki-ni.com with Paddy Meehan, from full concept. And I guess you could say that was the early days of Akka for me, because Oki-ni.com was originally a bespoke direct-to-consumer product platform. Obviously, us old-timers out there will remember the amazing store on Savile Row. But dare I say it, it was decades ahead of its time. So obviously now you probably know Oki-ni is a multi-brand e-tail platform. But back in the early days when we were conceptualizing it all, Oki-ni was the primary brand name. Levi's, Adidas, full, incredible Evisu products we developed. Bit of a collector's item now. So yeah, and so that's why Akka was born, because I really wanted to. Well, Akka essentially, our tagline in 2015 was it's the world's first brand created solely to support children's charities. We have a couple of charities that we work closely with, which is why it was so important for when Ben and Amanda mentioned the raffle with Save the Children. So let's talk about the raffle a little bit. So we have, I'm sure, I don't know if you've seen, we have jumped through hoops, climbed mountains, and we have developed a collab with Ben and Amanda for our bandana. Now, we've only produced 10 because the price per bandana was exceptional. They're made in England, and as you can imagine, nobody in England works within a 12-day production turnover deadline, so we had to be quick on that. So it's a beautiful, I'm sure you've seen it, so please, Ben, what did you say? I think you got up to 247 tickets. Love to get that up to 275.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we can do that, but we've done really well. It'd be great.
Let's get that up there. I'm not sure. I'll try and get that a bit closer. I'm sure you've seen it. So please dig deep, everyone. It's for a fantastic cause. So yeah, and Ruan, sir, thank you so much for your graphic guru, as always, knocking this one out of the park. Will actually be that it also contains our new COVID-19 icon. Little bit political, little bit geopolitical, but hey, that's Akka for you. So we'll be releasing some of these t-shirts at a later date online to announce where we're all up to, which of course was important to me because Ben and Amanda, I'm sure you've had some rounds of applause, but may I stand up and congratulate you for your amazing effort. So a big round of applause, everyone, for Ben and Amanda. I can see some faces, but I can't see you clapping. There we go. You're starting to clap now. Thank you. So yeah, so Akka 2015 became its own brand. Obviously, it was we wanted to apply a thesis, a sort of mindset that everything that Akka does is a world first. It's something I've had a cross to bear for, I don't know now, maybe 25 years. I've got stuck in a loop that everything we have to do is a world first, be it from a ETEL platform or to a VTEL or VTEL blogging. Obviously, with our transient and next generation recycled, upcycled selvages, the jeans I'm wearing are actually our second generation recycled, upcycled, with the basically when I was producing an enormous amount of OEM production in Guangzhou, China in 2014, I noticed that when you have volume OEM, it's a bit like, remember like the old school Airfix models, you'd punch out the pieces of the model and you'd be left with like a frame. That's quite similar to large scale, fast fashion, high street, I call it toxic, negative supply chains. So you're left with this enormous, great big piece of fabric. And it devastated me back in the day to learn that the factories were actually taking this factory fabric waste and setting fire to it, burning it. So me and some of the boys, we basically grabbed this fabric and it took us about 24, 25, 26 months to work out how to get all the fabric together, pulp it down into a bit of a mush, have to dry it out, re-spin it, re-yarn it, and then of course we upcycled it onto our salvage loom. So we've always had this dedication to recycling, upcycling, sustainability. Akka is always pro-environment. So that's a little bit what we've been up to. Myself, I've also been busy pioneering the Chinese luxury and now low market territories since 1997. So I've probably put, or shall we, the professional terminology is I have introduced via manufacturing license, retail licenses, brand licenses. I've injected about 130 to 140 European American luxury brands into China. So we have a very behind the scenes, the directors, the co-founders at Akka, we have an intimate knowledge of, you know, market inclusions, premium denim heads. There are also two recognized denim masters behind Akka. The original, one of the founders is no longer with us. So it's just, and we're now moving into Asia. We have Akka International now set up in Hong Kong. We're well on schedule for, gosh, I don't know, maybe opening 10 to 15 Asian standalone Akka stores in the next 24 months. So that's really exciting. And the reason why I'm blowing my trumpet on that is because it's the first time actually after 5 years of hard work that we can now give a percentage of our product direct shop floor sales back to the children's charities that we support. We have done a couple of unique bespoke auctions, which I have a couple of pieces that I'll talk you through. So yeah, you know, but I've never really been able to, I've always had this visionistic fantasy idea in my head of having some, you're a bit like, you know, you have the debt clock, America's debt clock in New York, you have a consistent sequential of the debt. Well, I've always had in my head, and I'm absolutely determined to do it, that within each Akka store, we have a live interactive amount donated to the children's charities. So whilst I say Akka is indeed the world's first brand created to support children's charities, it's been minimal, although we've done some incredible projects, which is why I was so excited to do the bandana and support Save the Children, obviously Ben and Amanda for your incredible work. And Alex, if you're watching, sir, thank you so much for introducing me to all your crew at Global Denim Hang. Appreciate that, sir. Thank you. I hope you have your bandana by now. I hope you're wearing it with pride. So, and now going back to a little bit more of a chilled level, as you probably noticed, we are outside. So we are coming to you live from sunny Somerset. That is in the West Country of England. So because it's taken quite a lot of effort, but absolutely worth it. So we're just going to give you, so I'm going to walk Elizabeth, who is behind the scenes. So bear with her whilst we tilt cameras, move cameras. But I'm going to go up and just show you a little bit of our archive. Some of these pieces, in fact, most of these pieces, we have original Yamani gifts as a thank you for Evisu becoming Evisu International under license with Peter Kaplan. We've been doing this for a long time. We have some of our own pieces. We have some Beauty Beast pieces, which are my favorite Japanese brand from Takao and Toshi Tanaka. No longer, it's slowly ticking over. We have some of our world's first paper denim. We have some tributes to The Force Awakens with George Lucas, always pushing the boundaries with Akka, because when we first started, as you know now, Akka is under Denim Direct. And as many of you kindly tag on social medias, Akka's paramount commitment is help us, help you, help them. So it's fantastic when people come together, but I really wanted to bridge that gap between consumers that genuinely care. Many consumers also know over the years a pair of salvage jeans, and I'm not berating, a good pair of jeans. We're coming, I mean, I've sold jeans, we produce jeans of the Evisu gold jeans. You'll remember in the bamboo wooden box, I was right around that table smoking away. So yeah, we've got other pieces from our Denim World Championships 2015, which I can show you. These pieces haven't really been together for, gosh, up to 25, 30 years. So when Amanda gave me the nod and the push, come on, Miles, you didn't do the first Global Denim Hang, but, you know, really want you to get involved. So basically, I made a few phone calls. We have a few archives spread out all over the world because, as they say, never put your eggs in one basket. So I never like to keep all my pieces, I don't know, God forbid, fire or damage. So it's taken us about 2 weeks to get these pieces all across America's Asia's in here, in this courtyard to you today, just to talk you through. So I'm going to take a little walk around and show you just what we've been up to. So, because we know we've all been sort of noses against the screen. So here we are. We're actually outdoors. You can see, we'll just take a little sweep around. I'll talk you through this. This is actually a Yamani special, hand-painted seersucker, hand-carved. I'll talk you through these. This is one of my favorite jackets. I'll talk you through this jacket. That jacket alone is single-handedly responsible from the hand-painted die cuts that you found on your Evisu jeans over the last 25 years. I'll talk you through that. I know the sun's glaring behind me. I apologize for that. Well, not really. We're outdoors. Result. So, yeah, we've been putting a few pieces together. And it goes all the way around here. So we'll come back through these later. So yeah, we've been busy little bees. As a special thank you to everyone at Global Denim Hang, the global denim community, which of course Akka is, well, dare I say it, we've been committed to excellence for some 25 years now. So we've had a lot of fun hanging these pieces up. So I'll pick out pieces variably afterwards. But yes, so quite nice to be outdoors, everyone, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's Sunday morning as well. What more could you ask for? So, quicker than that. The camera should glare down at the minute. Is it glared back down? Okay, so as you can see, and those that know me well, I never prepare. I think when one prepares, one loses the passion of the instancy of the moment. So we're just going to wing it a little bit. I'm going to talk about the reasons of how I feel so strongly behind consumerism, why I feel and why we and why all the partners of Akka feel so strongly about giving back, supporting. We don't just, or maybe I should say, it's not just a philanthropic angle for us. We have significant resources, and I think if you don't share those resources, or more importantly, the knowledge, then knowledge is absolutely nothing if it's not shared. So we had a lovely series last year called #ArchiveFuture. Amanda, you were part of that, so looking forward to see what goes on there. So we don't just, shall we say, create product, donate profits. We're really intrinsic in terms of supporting the next generation. I myself offer myself up quite often to mentor programs because I think it's really cool to watch someone go from the whole stage of how do I make a pair of jeans? And of course, obviously, the denim industry works by you buy stock fabric, salvage fabric. And that is the principle of the milling. I mean, a lot of brands I know, they say, look at this salvage, it's amazing salvage. But in truth, it's not their salvage. They buy it from a mill. It's stock fabrics. I've been doing it 35 years. This is why every piece of Akka is so unique, because we don't use stock fabrics. We don't use mills. We know all the fantastic mills, and they are incredible. But we develop, we design, we product test like nothing I've ever known. Every single piece of Akka. Every single piece, from alloys to rivets, our own foundries. Well, I've stopped using foundries as such, but I mean talking the metal work behind it all. And we invest a significant amount of time, product, passion into weaving our own selvages, because only that way do I know how strong it is. I wouldn't get to know the loom tensions. I couldn't even possibly comment on social media about, well, of course, this is fantastic, passionate Fade Evolution, all part of being Seminole Deminals, isn't it? Love the Fade. I couldn't tell you, a lot of people, Tim, good morning. If you've also stayed awake on Americas, Tim's a great example, Tim Sorensen, of gifting up a black pair of salvage. I know he's been doing a post every day throughout September. So, of course, I've been having a little bit of jokes about how's your Fade Evo? How's your Fade Evo? And bless Tim, he's wearing them every day and doing his, what's it called, September Essentials and what have you. So unless we actually weaved our own salvage, our own loop tensions, I know where the thread comes from if we haven't recycled and upcycled it ourselves. I know how long she'll give up her first Evos. Obviously, we're all obsessed, quite rightly so, with cat whiskers. So it's only because we have a full 6-feet vertical production line, from milling to weaving to looming, everything from the pocket bags. We are involved with we create every single piece. And it's only because of that I know exactly how the product will behave. And it's really important, and this is a little bit about my personal nature. I wouldn't even possibly be so outrageous to create the world's first brand created solely to support children's charities if I didn't know every single part of the process, because you would look like a real plonker, wouldn't you, if you created a brand to support children's charities And the product was appalling. The product was below grade. So this is why it's so important to me, because it could, ironically, on a personal note, it gains me a lot of sleep knowing there's product out there, fully comprehensible, fully intrinsic, fully researchable, fully woven under our own caps and in-house teams, because of course it represents so much. It says so much, doesn't it? And this leads me on to the next point. Why is Akka a direct-to-consumer brand? It's a great question. There's multiple reasons, really. Again, I've sort of appointed or anointed back in the early days of Oki-ni.com, but like I said, that was decades ahead. Although Oki-ni is an incredible multi-brand platform now, but like I said, it was really much the original direct-to-consumer with bespoke products, which were unavailable anywhere else. So this direct-to-consumer, it's quite an interesting dichotomy. It's sort of, I wanted Akka to be direct to consumer because I was just had enough with all the negative hidden. I mean, I know blockchain, it's sort of dying off a little bit more now. It's coming more into the financial services. It's not ever fully integrated into the supply chain. I know there's a lot of incredibly successful blockchain platforms out there working with the fashion industries, but it doesn't really work because blockchain, of course, is you see the full stage of where it came from, who's handling it, you have your barcodes, you can list the supply chain. And of course, it's supposed to show you the product from birth to shop floor. It's supposed to tell you, oh, party B has added a 7.5 margin. So now the product's moved on to further down the blockchain. And now let's say it's become a woven fabric. And then blockchain is supposed to be fully transparent. And then you're supposed to end up with, say, a category or product journey of, say, 12 to 14, all the way from loomers, weavers, foundries, textile importers, exporters, logistics, big part of blockchain, but DHL, UPS, Parcel Force, all the big guns. I say Parcel Force, I'm proudly British. All the big guns don't release their logistics. You can't have a blockchain pair of jeans leave Okayama or Hong Kong or wherever, and you can't say, oh, look at the blockchain, or DHL added an import license of $14 with a transactional freight cost of, so I don't know, say 3%. They're not going to tell you that information because, of course, it's corporate. So blockchain, I always thought, whilst I was fascinated with the big emergence of blockchain 2011, when it started to get interesting 2013, 2014, it fundamentally doesn't work because in order to have the blockchain, you need to have the software. Well, I've spent nearly all of my career walking through fields in faraway countries, watching the cotton grow, watching if it's organic, watching which pesticides are being used, So we're basically talking about the very beginning of the supply chain. So I've never met a grassroots, passionate, I work with Asia mainly, but I'm sure it's much the same all across the world. I've never met a cotton farmer in Pakistan that can afford the blockchain software. So basically, blockchain, essentially, it's already missing out 4 stages from the farmers, from the cotton pickers, and obviously they come together as a community or a cooperative, and then it's all grouped together, and the cotton in the bundles goes on to the yarns, the weavers, the mills. Well, they're not involved in that process. So Akka, I really wanted to be direct to consumer so we can absolutely really understand. And so I could try and get away from all the economic challenges for a more productive progress, which obviously is what Akka's all about, because I've harked back to, I have to do this because it's a children's charities brand. And if I don't know all this information, it's very easily someone could go, oh yes, but you couldn't do this. Because what Akka has fundamentally done, as I'm sure a lot of our customers, consumers, fans, community watching, we sell our own 14-ounce salvage, beautifully designed, woven jeans. We sell them. I mean, the jeans I'm wearing now, the development cost alone was tens and tens of thousands just to get the fabric or the upcycle, the re-yarning. And the irony is, because I work in global licensing, as you recall, I mentioned China, we have an intimate phone book. Our contact lists are extensive. We've worked with all the large-scale board of directors, so we know them all. So it's not difficult for the Akka team to phone up Topshop, which is exactly what I did in 2016, and say, hey, you know, and this is obviously the beginning of the fast fashion high street sustainability bubble. It all started to get quite intrinsic, you know, they started to put more and more. I didn't see my first sustainability manager until 2015. Now, of course, it's a booming industry, and quite rightly so. But I digress, yes. So it's easy for me to say, hey, Topshop, the factory you're using in Shenzhen is burning their fabric. No, they're absolutely not. Because of course, why would you know that? Because you don't have a transparent supply chain. Because of course, it's all margin based. So I wanted everything to be very moving away from all the geopolitics that we're experiencing. I wanted to improve the consumer engagement, you know, because again, they're coming onto the whole environment, you know, with the sustainability, because essentially that is what sustainability is. It's not about being sustainable for me as a brand owner. It's about being transparent, 100% transparent. So it's really fantastic. And I'm watching all the incredible brands out there. Obviously, everyone's now talking about sustainability, recycled. And there's quite a common trend now with brands going, oh, we're using old pieces of fabric, we're upcycling. I saw another brand yesterday saying we're using old pieces of fabric, limited edition. But and it's quite contradictory, but I consider that as recycling. Because really, if you're taking A and you're turning it into B, that's recycling. So at Akka, we try and get a lot more involved in upcycling. Yes, we do take A, but we don't turn it into B. We literally work at a fiber yarn level. So we have a lot of incredible partners. I'd like to talk a little bit about one of our supply chains. His name is Herman Wong, CEO. Good morning. Oh, sorry, good afternoon, Herman, if you're watching us in Hong Kong. Herman is the CEO of an incredible company called Yunhing Denim. And Herman has actually produced, just for all of us today in sunny Somerset, Herman has produced what I can only consider to be a Bible, an absolute, I've never seen anything like it. It is a go-to 101, behind the scenes, industrial sustainability for dummies is actually how I described it to him. I need you, treat me like a dummy. And he's actually created, now in this Bible, and obviously some of our fabrics, now I've talked a lot about cotton. Herman is who works with our production director, Calvin. Herman creates, now with Akka for 2021, 2022, we're beginning, which is fantastic because it's taken a lot of pushing and pushing. We're beginning to see next generation fabrics. I'm talking upcycled, recycled nylon woven into denim, which is completely blowing my mind. Because for the last 5 years, I've been so obsessed with taking cotton and keeping it into cotton. But now we're working a lot of bi-weaving, where a lot of our 2022 fabrics, which they're all here, it's done absolutely amazing. I'll see if I can get you a little closer to image. So Herman, bless him. So these are all our fabrics. There's absolutely hundreds of them. So it's incredible resources. We're starting to move towards recycling, upcycling polyesters, woven with cotton. Here we go. Indigo nylon, organic polyesters for outdoor use. Gives you a little bit of I'm telling you this as to where I feel the industry's going. So we're starting for 2021. This book focuses on our 100% organic, 100% sustainable, fully transparent salvages, which we'll be releasing, which has 50% recycled, upcycled polyester from old, fast fashion, high street garments. Because, of course, really, you've got to think about the fundamentals of what we're talking about here. Nylon and polyester, well, it doesn't want to weave. It doesn't want to be loomed. It wants to melt. It is a liquid. So, of course, we're talking about re-yarning these polyesters, these nylons. It's absolute next generation. And we're weaving them into... So he's done me a couple of incredible things here. We're talking, there's a lot of hemp. Obviously, Akka is moving towards hemp. Some of the fabrics Herman's just given me here. Let me show you. This is a classic example. So we're moving towards this because I believe if we're moving away from this whole obsession with sustainability, we're moving towards a more transparent marketplace, so we can improve consumers' cognitive communication. So we have absolute faith in Akka. So we're talking about these fabrics here, not available for another 12 months, but I'm sure we can. It's organic cotton. It feels very similar to a 2002 CP company jacket, maybe a little hark towards the incredible fabrics at Stone Island, which again, the Akka founders are good friends with the UK distributors of Stone Island. So these fabrics are actually denim. They are salvage. And here's the mind melt. It's 63% organic cotton, 20% polyester, 10% upcycled nylon. So yeah, so that's why I was just going on about the positives and the negatives. So Akka was very much created so we can have a full 360 ownership view of our product for philanthropy, the passion, the poise, the purpose. And so yes, so they're gonna that's the birth of Akka. So hope I'm not waffling everyone too much, but it is my job. So let's talk about a little bit of history. How did the Akka team get to be the Akka team? Well, we've talked about sustainability. We've talked about our academic auctions. We've talked about our next generation transparent, organic, recycled, upcycled nylon salvages. So they'll help us, help you, help them. The hashtag Denim Direct. And of course, why Akka has the foresight, maybe that's not the right word. Why Akka is brave enough to offer the market $300 value salvage jeans, why we can do them denim direct for $90. Well, it's very simple. You can only buy Akka from akkadenim.com. We do not have any distribution partnerships. Unlikely we ever will, but Nick, our CEO, will have the final say and foresight on all of that. So what are we missing? So we are missing immediately your 30% less because it has never been into a luxury showroom. We work with luxury showrooms from everywhere, Hong Kong, Paris, Milan, London, you name it, Shanghai. So we can immediately remove the distribution margin, which is crucial because that fluctuates genuinely depending on the global economic recession. Sometimes you've got your Trump tariffs, we've got China geopolitical trade wars. All of this is really built into a unit cost long before it ever gets on an aeroplane or ship. So yeah, so that sort of thing. So, and how did all this knowledge come to be? So I'm going to show you a few pieces, which I think it kind of says the Akka as a brand. So let me walk over here and we'll pick up a couple of pieces and we'll just really get to the crux of why our team have recognized Denim Masters. We've obviously manufactured most of the brands for denim brands proudly as OEM luxury denim manufacturers from Savile Row houses to, which is why we could dare to accept the challenge of idea to product with our beautiful bandanas. I hope you're still buying tickets, raffle tickets, by the way. So come on, save the children. Let's keep going. I'm not doing this for free. Well, I am actually, but it's all about save the children. So let's go. Right. So this piece actually saved my life when I was stabbed 3 times in the back on Hoxton Street on New Year's Day in 2002, because it's such a big, it's like wearing a duvet. This piece is the only piece in the world. It is by a Japanese brand called Beauty Beast, who've always been one of my favorite brands. But this piece, you may remember back in the day when Evisu became Evisu. You may remember originally Yamane was hand painting his die-cuts on the rear pockets in the showrooms, Selfridges. I saw world tour of Selfridges hand painting. But that was always with acrylic paint, quite literally acrylic DIY paint. So when we really, when the Evisu production really started to ramp up, and it did go ballistic, and I've never seen anything like it, and I doubt I'll ever see it again, from say 1 million jeans a season, straight up to 20 million jeans. Obviously, it's impossible to keep handwriting all the Yamane die cuts. So basically, we had to think of a way of how do you replicate the classic hand-painted Evisu on a mass production. I say mass production, it was still within our luxury OEM facilities. So we had the idea that basically what was missing, it needed to be some sort of flexible, bendable paint that obviously can stand washing, shipping, shop floor abrasions, whatever, stuff like that. And of course, we couldn't have lots of people hand-painted, so we had the idea that it had to become siliconized. So who'd you turn to for siliconized rear Evisu? Well, it didn't exist. There was no one doing it in 1997. So we came up with the idea of testing how to apply create our own paints, fully waterproof, fully flexible, fully bendable, and apply that to mass production of Evisu in 97. So this jacket is the first example. I don't know if you can see glaring in the light. I'll try and get closer for you. Can you see there's a translucent, transparent print on that? Is that showing? Okay, so, and then this jacket's absolutely covered in it. Can you see? So this jacket by Toshi Tanaka and Takawa at Beauty Beast, which actually I was responsible for the European Beauty Beast license, putting it to Harvey Nichols, Harrods. In fact, Nick, you may have bought Beauty Beast. I'm confident you did, our CEO. So this jacket is the only example. And because of all the developments we had, it probably took about 12 months. This translucent, silicon-based, resin-based print that is on this jacket is single-handedly responsible for millions of pairs of Evisu of rear painted silicon die cuts on your back pockets. So I thought you'd quite find this piece quite interesting. Let's move on. So, this is quite an interesting piece. Let me just hang this up, bear with me. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is the 2016 R2-D2 official product, George Lucas, Star Wars, which was in the Selfridges display window, in conjunction with Bobby Abley London. So yes, it's an absolute replica. What's quite interesting about this piece is I lost a lot of sleep trying to work out how do you replicate silver? So we had to work out the silver that is on this piece is actually hallmarked 925 sterling silver, which took us about 6 months to work out, and it's fully flexible. Look, you can scrunch it. We had to work out how to put it onto a selvage. So this is a beautiful piece. Let me see what else we can get for you. This piece here. We'll talk about this piece. This harks back to 1994, 95. This piece alone represents Yamani-san, Evis, turning it into, this is actually a thank you piece. This is, I don't know if many of you know, Yamani is obsessed with golfing, fishing, which is where the whole Yamani Dowlock sub-collections came through. So this is actually a bondage jean. I lost the loop belt many years ago, but it's a little hark back to Vivienne Westwood, Sex Pistols. So this is, and it's also overprinted in my favorite colors, which are what I said is deep green and purple. You can't actually see, but there's a hand-printed dog tooth representing my favorite colors on that. It's an absolute belter. That's always been. So I don't know how old this piece is now. We've got to be looking 27 years. And I haven't really started wearing it in yet. That's how good it is. Let's see if we can find another piece. Now this is a really cool piece. This is 1999. Beauty Beast again, which technologically, they just blew my brains. But what's cool about this is it's the world's first needle punch. What that technically means is, some of you will notice, I'll try and hold it still. You'll notice it has a bit of a camouflage effect, with a bit of a fluff all over it. So this is needle punched. And the beauty of this is when you look at the weave on the inside. Are we getting that? So the weave, so what needle punching actually means, it took about 6 months to develop this process. What it actually means is there's 3 pieces of fabric here. You have obviously your primary, your binary, your tertiary. So it's like a sandwich. So you have your underlying 12-ounce selvage. You have your sandwich, which we worked out was about 7 to 7.5 ounce. And then you have another 12 to 15 ounce. In actual fact, this is a combination, a melange, probably about 40 ounces. But what's really cool about it is, so when you sandwich it, these hypodermic needles, basically we built it out of a block of alloy with about 150 hypodermic needles. And the block goes pushed down and the needles grab the bottom panel and they yank it all the way through. So this is an amazing piece, the world's first needle punch with this jacket. Love this jacket. Lastly, how do we get to be who we are? These are the world famous Akka's 32-ounce interlace, all hand woven in Tibet. We were supporting these beautiful Tibetan weavers. Then we did these for the Denim World Championships. See if you can get it close up again. So a lot of people have wrongly assumed over the years that, oh yes, it's just the interlace, they're just strands. No, every single strand here was basically done with no loom, was basically done. So every single strand has about 150 yarns inside it. So it's just a little 5 mil wide strand. And then the strands were interlaced. So this is an incredible piece. In total, 36 months this took. She's a beauty. She's 32 ounce. We have a 45 ounce version, but I've never released it. So another key piece. So there we go. That gives you it just gives you a little insight into the passion that we have. Because Akka really is all about positivity. It's about making great change, humility, absolutely transparency. So we couldn't have done the Akka journey without all this behind the scenes knowledge of fabrication, weaving, looming, textiles, because every single piece on that wall is a world first. never been done before, likely will never be done again. I can't imagine it'll be done again. It's completely time consuming. So it's that level of design and innovation which helps me be more of an ethical due diligence in terms of supporting philanthropy. So yeah, so that's where we're up to. So I think it's 9:45. I hope you're still buying your raffle tickets, everyone. I'm wondering, Amanda, it's 9:45. Shall we? Did you want to ask any questions from the community?
Yeah, I was just seeing, we're just having comments like, these look bulletproof. Yeah.
They are. One of them's stab proof, I can tell you that much.
We had a question about the, I'm just trying to go back to, will the nylon and with the nylon and polyester, this means that the garment is harder to biodegrade. Can you advise further?
Yes, fantastic. Yeah, great question. We're obviously looking into that, but at the moment, it's a bit like this whole ocean plastics. It's a questionable innovation, isn't it? Is it better to empty out the ocean plastics, which of course we're working on ocean plastic buttons as well for our Chambry shirts coming out next year? Is it better to empty the oceans with plastics and then do something with it? But of course, when you've done something with it, is it biodegradable? So it's another ethical, very valid question. Whoever asked that is a very clever person. Is it better to reuse, or shall I say, clean up the environment with polyesters, nylons, rayons? Is it better to remove it from the environment and then rebrand it, retag it, put it into a cleaner supply chain, or to leave it all where it is in the ocean or the mountains of fast fashion polyesters? And who will then? So it's a great question. I guess it's all part of the journey, and I'll come back to you on that one.
And then carrying on from that, what do you think about using cotton going forward? Because obviously a lot of people are talking about doing cottonless jeans.
Cottonless jeans. Well, again, you'd have to. What are we talking? We're talking hemp.
Yeah, and like just the water usage that cotton like uses, and
water waste, obviously, absolutely. I mean, we are, like I said, a lot of manufacturers I know in Asia are, Herman, though I mentioned from Younghing Denim, he has one of his first sustainable zero water waste GSK certifications in Asia going back to 2014. So everyone's looking into it, and it's very important because, of course, like I mentioned with the blockchain, all these things add margins, which of course is counterintuitive. Why would you do something to clean up the environment and then make it twice the price? So yes, I don't know. It's I'm guessing when we say cottonless jeans, we're talking about fiber, aren't we? Fiber being plant-based as opposed to plastic, nylon, rayon, polyester base. I'm not sure. I'd have to know how you do they mean fabric-free jeans? Is that like meat-free meat? I don't know. You'd have to come back to me on that one.
Yeah, gluten-free.
My little daughter loves her sausage-free sausages. Can't quite work that one out yet from Mama, but there we go.
We've just had another question. Have you got thoughts on using cellulose-based fibres, tensile versus? We just kind of talked about hemp, cotton, linen.
Hemp, cotton. Well, I suppose the only point I wanted to make out was, because we're talking about cottons, hemps, these are natural fibres, fibrous. What we're working on is trying to work out how to blend natural fibres with, let's call it, liquid polyester. Now, of course, those two don't want to blend because one's not fibrous, one's fibrous, and one's has a smooth hand feel to it. So that's where we're working on. We're working more on sort of bringing in the disregarded, unwanted mountains, because we're talking about ocean plastic, but the mountain of polyester out there, it's just as bad, but at the moment, we're not seeing any horrific ocean-based. I mean, for me, it was seeing a seahorse latching onto an earbud. I mean, that's what got me going, but we're not seeing a seahorse latching onto a nylon blouse because, of course, they're not there floating around. But that's where we're working on. So, Amanda, how are you? All good? Anything you'd like to ask us?
Sorry, I was waiting for Ben. Ben's got a question for you.
Yeah, sorry, I were on mute then. I didn't even realise. Sorry about that, Miles. Yeah, I mean, just missing my question, but just digressing slightly. For anybody that's interested, there is a brand in Wales that work a lot on sustainability.
Yeah.
We use them for our stock T-shirts at Clovercam Supply Co. Rapa Nui, they were called.
Yeah.
And they sent me a sample, which maybe I'll use down the line. And it was a T-shirt completely made from the plastic that came out the ocean.
See that?
And it, yeah, I mean, it didn't fit me. My son wears it every day now, but yeah, I was really amazed by how much it just felt and looked. Were almost identical to cotton, and it doesn't shrink. It goes in dryer, you know. And I thought that were really initiative. You know, it showed a lot of initiative for them to be doing that. I mean,
brilliant.
I'm not saying everything they say is true. I'm just saying they sent me a sample of that, and I was surprised by it. What I actually wanted to ask you, Miles, was I'm going to take you back to a bit to the start of the chat, if that's okay, mate. Because there's a lot of young people out there that might be looking to become retailers. They might see this on YouTube in 6 months' time and stuff like that. And I think it's something that you said were really interesting, and I wondered if you could explain the process to them a little bit more, and also make them realise that there's a reason you're in this position, and it doesn't happen this easily all the time. Well, not easily, but it doesn't happen like this all the time. You mentioned you're contacting Asia in Hong Kong and whatnot, and said within 24 months potentially you could have up to 15 stores.
Correct.
And you can use these stores to donate money to charity. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to think that basically that's living the dream. However, I know for a fact that I'm falling in your lap. But it's also a big statement. So I wondered if you could just elaborate on that bit a little bit more for us, for anybody that's listening and thinking, how's he managed to do that? You know, what's he doing that I'm not doing? Or what's he learned that I need to learn? If that's okay, mate.
Wise words, wise words. Immediately at the very beginning of what we said there, Ben, is you said a lot of people might be thinking about being retailers. Well, you immediately have a problem because you've got to go to a distribution showroom. Darling, turn it off. So you're already talking about the price increase and what have you. Oh, hang on, I've lost you, Ben. I can't hear you.
Sorry, buddy. I just had to change my headphones. No. No, it was just a case, explain that process, how, you know, like, it's, if you can get 15 stores open potentially in 24 months in Asia from what you're doing now, what would you advise, basically, how would you advise a young up-and-coming entrepreneur? The reason I thought of the question is because you said you care just as much about the next generation coming along. Completely. Yeah, how would you advise them to get into a position like what you're in, where that's a possibility? You know, what do they need to be looking at and thinking about?
I can answer that straight away. So, you wisely said living the dream. Well, it's not a dream. It takes 30 years of nightmare to I can't hear him again. I can see him speaking now. Sorry, I can't hear you, mate.
I'm just nodding and laughing along with you. Yeah, I'm not actually saying, oh, mate. No, you carry on, you answer.
Because I've got you down here on a monitor, and I'm trying to speak as reverb on the other monitors.
I'll keep my mute button off. Yeah, you explain it, because I know there's a lot more to it than that. So that's why I wanted to ask.
Is it living the dream? And how would you go about it if you're the next generation? Well, let me put it this way. Every piece that I talked you through is... It is the dream. You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm looking at 1 to 15 world first pieces, each one unlimited budget, each one 24 to 30 months development. Now, how do you get to do it? Well, you must never give up, no matter what comes your way. For every success, I've had 10 failures. Simple as that, really. Now, you need to have the mental tenacity not to be beaten. You need to be able to stand up for your dream. Absolutely no doubt there. And for example, if just one of those pieces didn't work out, then I wouldn't have gone, it's not worth the effort. So you have to be firm in believing in your dream. Never, ever give up. It's not that I'm living the dream now, because far from it. You know, my life is far from perfect. We have multiple professional issues which we're, dealing with across all the world and all our licenses. And I think the second point would be network. Make sure you have, if you're going to go into business with someone, which invariably you will go with business with someone you know, because you're certainly not going to go into business with someone you don't know. You have to absolutely have blind faith. You need to choose your business partners wisely. I work with my business partner, Nick, Akka CEO. Well, the first time I met Nick was at the 4 marketing showrooms in a Stone Island presentation. Or it could have potentially been Catherine Hamnet, or I don't know, a major brand anyway. Now, I met Nick 1997, 1998, maybe. So we've been working together 22 to 23 years, just to this stage where we are confident enough. So I guess my answer is tenacity, faith, humility, a lot of honor. You must have honor, you must have pride in all your products, and you must choose your brands wisely. Brands that represent your own personal beliefs, absolutely. A lot of transparency, sustainability, we touched on that. So yeah, you just, Ben, the answer is it living the dream? No, sir, it's not living the dream. It's 30 years of unrivaled, unfaltered commitment.
That's really interesting. Thank you very much for that. The Swedes, I've got to read out the question from the Swedes because they've been here for all 24 hours. They've obviously paid a lot of attention to what you were saying, because it's actually a really good question, and it is something that a spectator would think when we're having a conversation like this. And they've asked, where does the finance come to pay for all the development? You know, you say unlimited finance and all this. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I don't live a luxurious life, far from it. Where does the finance come from? Okay, that's a great question. You could say that once you have secured your own domestic territory, whether it's Europe, the Americas, or Asia, once you have touched and you've really nailed down your brand identity, it could be a supply chain identity. It could be a service identity like PR, press, and marketing. Whatever it is, when you've really nailed down your identity, and no matter where you are, you can talk about it for 60 minutes. Bang, this is me, this is what I'm doing, this is what we represent, this is what we stand for. When you've really nailed down your identity, and it then becomes investment worthy. So then you start to think outside of your continent, your territory. So if you're in Asia and you have a credible brand that's making global noise, it may not be in all the magazines, and you want to go into a new market, well, then you would look at Europe. So, hello, I'm an Asian brand, I'd like to go into Europe. Well, if you've done your homework, and if your humility and your honor and your integrity is top notch, then you have an investment worthy product. Then you simply address the European market or investment opportunity. Here we are, and you're going to speak to 10 people. Do you believe in what we're doing? Nah, it's all right. But you'll find the one that goes, we love it, we value it. Welcome to Europe. We will be your European partners. We will invest in your structure that you require. And ergo, by default, becomes your finance.
That's really good information. Thank you very much for that. And also, I mean, I've got a bit of a fun question to finish with. It's only one question. I'm not putting you on a desert island or out on this one. But yeah, thank you very much for all the effort you went to for the bandanas. I think it's amazing that you're building all this up. to help the children's charities, and it's amazing that you've come on here and give us your time today and collaborate. Well, it's his first ever Global Denim Hang collaboration. Forever,
Yes.
that will be it. Yeah, so maybe we should work on putting that print on a T-shirt for the next one, and we'll put them into the raffle instead. That'd be cool. What I was just going to ask for, literally only because I'd just seen it on your website, just before we started talking, and I thought, I'm not going to read this description, I'm just going to ask him at the end of the call. I thought it was really good fun that you had some basically upcycled, recycled. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah. Upcycled, recycled 15-ounce selvage denims on there. Yeah. So what's the story behind the upcycled, recycled part of it?
Well, it's like I lightly touched on. The recycled I view as in old garments, but we wanted to work at a fibrous level. So the recycled, in generic terms, I'm saying it's all the old, discarded, unwanted, fast fashion garments, end of production, OEM, panel cuts. That's the recycled angle. So it's the old, unwanted clothes. The upcycled would be, for me, the upcycled started when that yarn, that single yarn, those clothes have been turned into a yarn. When that yarn hits the salvage looms, then she's upcycled.
Yeah, okay, I get that. Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, the one thing that stood out to me was, I mean, the price point. It was reasonable.
They're challenging at best, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine they are, mate. I can imagine they are. But
in the future, everyone's living in hard times.
Yeah.
I know the industry inside out. These prices don't have to be these prices. If it's an in-house controlled full 360 vertical, you can control your supply chain. You can do it, but the simple reason is our prices are only those prices because they're not increased by 30% by a distributor, and they're not increased 35% by a retailer. That's how we do it.
Yeah, well, you're not the first person to tell me that, mate. So